Well, we've reached the end on the road to French Lick. Welcome once again to the Road to French Lick, the show chronicling the 2024 Korn Ferry Tour season. I'm Ryan Ballangy. Thanks for being here with us. We've been on the ground at French Lick Resort in French Lick, Indiana for the season-ending tournament out of 26 on the Korn Ferry Tour schedule, which determines the fate of 30 PGA Tour cards for 2025. Ultimately, 74-player field battled it out on the die course at French Lick for the opportunity to become a PGA Tour member, but also to win the final event of the season and $270,000 from the $1.5 million purse, as well as 600 Korn Ferry Tour points elevated throughout the four-event final series. First 3 days of competition were fascinating, with the Zach Bichot taking a one-stroke lead into the final round on 9 under par over Doc Redman. Both of them look on the outside, looking in of the top 30 to start the week, with Bichot needing a fourth-place finish to give himself a chance at earning a PGA Tour card, and Redman effectively in a win-and-in-only situation in the Korn Ferry Tour Championship. Both players were engaged in a great battle on a final day, which saw the wind finally show up to the die course, with conditions with winds of 10 to 15 miles per hour on a steady basis and gusts of closer to 20 to 25 miles per hour, particularly as the afternoon went on. Bichot and Redman held on to their moxie very well throughout the course of the final day. However, it was some ill-fated mistakes that led both of them to tumble down the leaderboard. Started with Redman after his second shot on the par 4 15th unfortunately landed on the lip of a bunker, forcing him to hit a near impossible shot from the sand that ultimately led to a double bogey. He was still in contention to win the tournament on the par 4 17th and was just short of the green in 2. However, he unfortunately was not able to get up and down from a relatively simple lie and made a bogey. Made a birdie on the final hole, but at that point, winning the tournament was effectively out of reach. For Bichot, he made 3 consecutive bogeys down the stretch, starting with a ball in the water on the par 3 16th, which proved to be a menace for players throughout the day. A bogey on the 17th after finding his drive well left of the native grass gave him a difficult proposition going to the par 5 18th, needing an eagle to finish in that 4th place position or better at getting himself a Korn Ferry Tour card. Fortunately, he made a bogey and wound up missing out on a PGA Tour card for 2025. The fate of the tournament was not decided until the very last putt, when Doc Redman did make that birdie on 18 and Brian Campbell made a par on 18 as well. They both finished tied for second place, along with Alistair Doherty, who at one point in the proceedings had the 29th position and had a spot on the PGA Tour for next year. However, ultimately, those putts bumped him out, giving Noah Goodwin that 30th PGA Tour card, not 30th in the points list, but 30th overall out of the 30 players. And the last card and the one man to play himself in through all of the proceedings was the ultimate champion of the final event of the Korn Ferry Tour season, Braden Thornberry, who shot a record-tying best 6 under 66 in the final round, including a birdie on the final hole that had him in position to win the tournament, but with a long wait to see what would happen. Ultimately, he wound up winning on 9 under par, 279, becoming a first-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour, earning those $270,000, and graduating to the PGA Tour for 2025. We talked with Braden Thornberry after the win. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Braden, the road to French Lick finally came here, and you delivered. Tell us about the journey, man.
And it was amazing. It's a long year. This is our 26th event in a row, and just very tough mentally, physically, all that. And for it to come down to the last tournament and be able to get it done as my first win as a pro is just incredible.
So, pivotal point about today, you go 9 under for the week. What stood out? What was your money shot out there?
There really wasn't one. I kind of made it look, I think, easier than it was, it wasn't amazing golf shots or making long putts, but just kind of hit the shots where I needed to. And like when I was out of position, I was able to scramble it. And it really wasn't anything crazy special, which is crazy to think about when I look back on it. But it was just kind of doing the right things at the right time. I made the momentum putts. When I'd have 6-7 feet for par, I was able to make that. Then I'd birdie the next hole or something where it's like that could have gone the other way. And I was able to keep it on the right ship and then just kind of pick off some birdies where I could. And it was just a tough day and just crazy to be able to shoot 6 under in it.
Your name is going to be etched in stone at the French Lick Resort forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know that?
Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah.
You told me that up there. That's really cool. And this is an awesome resort. I've never been here before, and probably won't be my last time.
Well, come back here for a vacation.
Yeah, exactly.
Hotty toddy, baby.
Yes, sir. Hotty toddy.
Give me some of that.
Thank you, sir.
Here we go.
Earlier in the week, we also spoke with Zach Bichot. He played in the Pro-Am on Wednesday with our co-host, Brendan Sweeney. Let's hear what Zach had to say about the upcoming experience that he ultimately faced at the French Lick Resort.
Zach, this is it. The road to French Lick finally came to here. What are your thoughts so far about the golf course?
It's an amazing piece of property. There's definitely a lot going on the course, so you want to get out here and play some practice rounds so you can know where you're going. But it's beautiful, and the course is very hard, so you'll have to play really well to post a good number this week.
Can you sum up your year? Just in a quick little blurb of from the beginning and starting in from Q school on.
Yeah, so I started with conditional status from last year and had a couple decent starts early on in the year to secure my starts for the rest of the year, and have played well, but been on the bubble for a while, so trying to get off the bubble and inside the top 30.
Is the grinding starting to go on now? Does it remind you of any college days of, okay, you got to strap up? And
Yeah, for sure. I think in college you more competing with your team and stuff, but this is the same thing. Like, you're competing against the same guys every week and trying to beat people.
All told, there are 30 graduates moving on to the PGA Tour in 2025. 23 of them are rookies representing 8 different countries, including several who are part of a small class of players from their country to ever reach the PGA Tour. However, the number one standout for the season was Matt McCarty, who would have been the 75th player in the Korn Ferry Tour Championship field had he not already earned the 3-win promotion to the PGA Tour and also been assured the number one spot in the season-long points race. He was guaranteed of that spot after the third event of the Korn Ferry Tour Finals, assuring him the availability to go play in the Sanderson Farms Championship on the PGA Tour without having to worry about losing his number one position, the full exempt status on the PGA Tour that comes with it, as well as spots in the Players Championship and the US Open in 2025. Congrats to Matt McCarty on a tremendous year and for a made cut at the Sanderson Farms Championship. As for the rest of that list, out of the 30 players who came into the Korn Ferry Tour Championship inside that top 30 number, just one exited. Ultimately, that was Sam Bennett, number 30, who fell out of the top 30 as a result of Braden Thornberry winning the Korn Ferry Tour Championship presented by United Leasing and Finance. We now take a look at all 30 graduates from the 2024 class of the Korn Ferry Tour.
all right, wrapping up the Road to French Lick series. Awesome championship week here. The weather was fabulous. A little wind kicked up today. What's the recap? What do you think?
Just an incredible finish. I mean, you didn't know who was going to have a card until the absolute last stroke of the tournament between Doc Redman and Brian Campbell. Looked like for a while Doc Redman had a card in hand. And
Zach Bichot?
Zach Bichot, same thing, was great for the first 2 rounds, and then unfortunately both of them playing in the same group kind of got befallen by a couple of different things, and neither of them wound up with a card, and instead you get Noah Goodwin in there and you get Braden Thornberry as the champion who gets himself a PGA Tour card.
Braden Thornberry, a great champion. Ole Miss grad, just came out here and just killed it today. 9 under, wins the tournament. I predicted 12 at the beginning of the week, and he died, showed his teeth in it. So.
Your number was right. I mean, with the windy conditions we had today, 20-mile-per-hour winds, it was demanding a lot of the players. We talked to Mason Anderson, who wound up getting a PGA Tour card.
Yep.
I mean, he talked about just how difficult today was, and he was thrilled to be 1 under par today. This place can be really, really difficult. The Korn Ferry Tour Championship, presented by United Leasing and Finance, was a great week not only for the die course, but the entirety of the French Lick Resort and the town of French Lick, with so many places thriving and getting to enjoy the experience of having some of the best players in the world in a town of 2,500 people. The resort was thriving, the casino was hopping, the hotel was sold out, and for us, we had an opportunity to check out some of our favorite bands, including Toad the Wet Sprocket and the Bare Naked Ladies. Here's a sampling of that concert.
Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. Wait. The earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, the Neanderthals developed tools, we built a wall. We built the pyramids. Now science history, unraveling the mystery, it all started with a big.
We also wanted to wrap up this week and this season with Kevin Price, who is one of the most passionate members of the Korn Ferry Tour community, one of the few people who covers the Korn Ferry Tour full-time for PGAtour.com, and one of the best people to turn to when it comes to talking the Korn Ferry Tour. Kevin Price with the PGA Tour is here with us. Kevin, been doing this for 10 years. This is like a Super Bowl week for you. How was the 10th one, the 11th one? What do you take away from this season?
I call today the greatest day in sports. And I mean, with the 30 PGA Tour cards all coming down to the last moments, literally today they came down to the last green. And from the season overall, golf's getting younger, power game's continuing. These guys are just getting better and better. Fields are getting deeper and deeper. You saw that just with young guys like Frankie Sappin, who's going to be around a while, and Craig Cummins is right over there, and Matt McCarty, who won 3 times. But you also have some seasoned vets like Gary Higgs and Max McGreevy, who's over there too, and Kevin Roy, so always an eclectic mix of rookies and veterans. Definitely skewed younger this year. I don't know the exact numbers, but a lot of rookies. But yeah, the PGA Tour is getting better and better, and that's coming from the Korn Ferry Tour.
Yeah, and it feels like the Korn Ferry Tour as a whole takes a whole lot of pride in the retention rate of graduates who keep on the PGA Tour season after season, and that's increased over time, and that's why we've gone from 5 cards a quarter century ago to 30 cards now.
It's the season-long race that really proves whether you're good enough. And we have cards back now at Q School with 5 in ties, but compared to 25, it's less. Because at the end of the day, you play a whole season. You learn how to travel. You learn the ins and outs, the pro-ams, the sponsor obligations, the media stuff, dealing with people like me. So it's fun they go through that, and for it to come down to the last few putts. Obviously, there's a little bit of luck involved, but 30 guys who get their cards proven. They're in the top 5th of the Korn Ferry Tour players this year, and totally are capable of playing on the PGA Tour. And like you said, their retention rate here proves that.
We've talked to a number of guys over the course of the season and this week, and they've said, hey, everyone on this tour is capable of playing to the level that gets them to the PGA Tour. But maybe the differentiation is the stuff that you don't notice. You kind of go into that, some of that stuff that maybe people don't see that's way different than just strokes and scores against par.
I mean, it could be anything like learning how to game plan and when to dial back off the tee and where to miss it when you're in a trouble area, and how you they say stick in the game plan. It's cliche, but it's really true in the sense of learning how to channel your emotions. A lot of guys are working more with mental coaches. That's a trend that's been kind of discussed more lately, but I think composing yourself and keeping your emotions under control, and whether it's like strength training, speed training, a lot of people are, you get a little more distance, you'll have an 8-iron instead of an 9-iron, statistically, vice versa, statistically, you'll have more birdie opportunities and make more putts, and just with the more information available, it's like that balance of taking the right information and not going on information overload, which is a challenge in any role, but the more time goes on, the more players are refined in what they need to do in their proverbial process, and there's just so many things behind the scenes. Some guys more than others. Some guys can rely more on athleticism, other guys get that most of their talent, but it's that intersection that makes it so fascinating.
All right, so season's over for the 74 guys plus Matt McCarty that were here this week, but for a number of them, they're still going to go and play Korn Ferry Tour Q School, which is now PGA Tour Q School, presented by Korn Ferry. 5 cards on the line, so the season's not over for you yet. You got a field that's going to come in from qualifying stages to get to final stage. So what's your calendar like the next 2 months as the season comes to an end?
Yeah, so first stage of Q School starts up next week, so we'll be covering that, doing Q School notebooks, and then we don't go on site really the first stage, but second stage I'll start covering some of those in the field. With that, really, to a man, players call it the most intense tournament of the year, because if you get through, you get your Korn Ferry Tour membership at least, and can get a spot in the tournament and move up from the shuffle if you don't. So a lot of key tension and coverage around second stage, and then final stage trying to get their PGA Tour cards, and also with the FedEx Cup fall and guys trying to finish in the top 125, 150 to keep their PGA Tour status next year. Be covering some of that too, which wraps up the RSM Classic. Always golf to cover, which makes it never a dull moment.
That's for sure. Kevin, thanks so much for spending some time. We appreciate it. Well, that's going to do it for us on the road to French Lick for this season. We greatly appreciate you watching, spending some time with us, chronicling the 2024 Korn Ferry Tour season. A lot of people to thank. First, my co-host Brendan Sweeney for helping me create this series and going out on the road with us, interviewing so many Korn Ferry Tour players, being an incredible ambassador for this tournament. To Chuck France, the CEO of French Lick Resort, Chris Leininger, Steve Ferguson, the entire golf team led by Dave Harner, Joe Vizzozo, and so many other people at French Lick Resort who have helped support the show and make it possible. I am greatly appreciative. To the players on the Korn Ferry Tour who have allowed us to chronicle their stories over the course of the season, we're very grateful, and congratulations to the 30 of you who are moving to the PGA Tour. We also want to thank the Korn Ferry Tour media staff who have been so hospitable in welcoming us to the different tournaments and letting us take this concept and become something that we've really become proud of over the course of these 12 episodes. That's going to do it for us for this season, but we are not done in 2024. We will have another episode of The Road to French Lick, which will chronicle the PGA Tour Q School and its final stage, presented by Korn Ferry, in December at TPC Sawgrass in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. We look forward to seeing you then. Until then, for Brendan Sweeney, everyone at the French Lick Resort, everyone at Golf News Net, I'm Ryan Ballingy. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.
1, 2, 3, 4.